Chapter 11. On a Knife's Edge. Declan dropped the knife to the floor, as if it were made of magma. It clattered and spun, ending somewhere under the bed. He stared at Aquilin. Aquilin stared back at him. The king did not look afraid. Alarmed? Yes. Concerned? Yes. But not about himself. About Declan? Maybe. Aquilin slowly and gracefully lifted a hand towards Declan. The firelight, that was the only light in the room, sparkled on the gold vambraces he wore. Thank God, no sunlight. The king spoke. Declan. Declan? Who is Declan? His brain screeched to a halt. He was Declan. Declan was him. He lifted a shaking hand to his forehead, which was covered in cold sweat. He felt so weak, so awful. Was this now? How did I get here? Declan asked as his legs started to wobble beneath him. He firmed them. He would not show weakness. To show weakness was to invite attack. To be attacked in this state was to likely fail. To fail was to die. Again. I brought you here, Aquilin explained softly. Myself, General Baston, and Raelif found you outside. Outside? The sun. Oh, the sun. It was so bright, Declan thought. But it wasn't bright here. It was dark, blessedly dark. The window's shutters were firmly closed. If Declan could have hugged the darkness to him, he would have. More cold sweat soaked the collar of his shirt. Aquilin continued. You were quite ill, so I took you up to one of the rooms of the dawn. Yeah, I know, I recognize it. Now, Declan interrupted, pleased that he remembered something clearly, but displeased he had stopped the king from speaking. His voice, God, his voice. It's like warm honey. He shook himself. This was not the time. He was sick, weak, exposed. And all of that in front of the damned king. Good. I'm glad you know that. Perhaps we could speak further once you sit down, or perhaps lay down, Aquilin offered, taking a step towards him. Declan froze, and his eyes were fixed on the sun-elf again. Aquilin held up both hands as to show he carried no weapons, was no threat, intended no harm. But Declan knew that meant nothing. Sun-elves had magic. They needed no weapons. They could strike. But why would he? Why would he hurt me? I'm nothing to him. I'm nothing. His legs were wobbling again. He tried to keep upright, but went down on one knee, and then the king was on him. Declan let out a shrill cry of despair that he had fallen, but Aquilin didn't hurt him. He was gently helping Declan lay down on his back on the soft bed. He was arranging the pillows for him, pulling the comforter over him. The comforter will bind my arms. It will make it harder for me to fight. Shh, Declan. It's all right. You're safe, Aquilin murmured. Safe? Nowhere is safe. Like trust. Safe is a weak word, Declan muttered, half unaware he was saying anything. A flash of pain appeared in Aquilin's eyes. That's not true, Declan. You are safe with me. And you can trust me. That does not make you weak. Volray wouldn't buy that. Who is Volray? The guy in the dream, the Kindreth, the one that was going to kill me. But it was a dream. And it's over. Thank God it's over, Declan thought. He shivered as cold sweat burst out from every pore, and yet he felt on fire at the same time. Hot and cold, sweating and freezing. Aquilin's empty hands were now limned with soft green light. Healing magic, Declan remembered. That's what she wanted to use, Lady Ashrin. God, that dream! More like a nightmare. Aquilin placed one of those green-limbed hands against the center of Declan's chest. It was the green of new spring shoots, the color of living things. And Declan swore he smelled freshly cut grass after the rain as waves of warmth flowed out from that hand throughout his whole body. He let out a moan of pleasure. understanding now why Volray had reacted as he did. But that was a dream. I didn't know how healing magic felt before now. This will help you. I swear I will not harm you. No one will harm you, Aquilin soothed. Against his will, Declan settled down into the pillows and mattress more, his body lax, his eyelids beginning to droop again. If he was not careful, he would sleep once more. Sleep and dream, or sleep in... Aquilin was speaking again. I am not certain yet what ails you. What I am doing now is balancing your energy. As I said, this will not harm you in any way. It will aid you in healing. I'm not ill, Declan insisted through chattering teeth. Even without his teeth pretending to be castanets, it was a rather ridiculous thing to say, considering he couldn't even keep on his feet. He can't know about me and the sun. He can't. Except Aquilin must already know. He'd found Declan like a fish out of water in the sun, gasping and unable to even crawl to the thin shadows the trees cast. He'd told Finley that the Sun Elves would naturally distrust anyone or anything that was affected adversely by sunlight. After all, weren't the Leviathan blown apart by light? And most of the beings that had come from the Underdark, monsters and the morally suspect, were also harmed by the sun. So if he was harmed by the sun too, then... But he was human. Humans were not impacted adversely by sunlight. They needed it, about the benefits of vitamin D. But the very thought of ever going into daylight again had him shuddering. If Aquilin hadn't come when he had, what would have happened to him? He should be grateful to this elf. Again, Aquilin had saved him for a second time. But what must he think of me? While I am not a mender, Aquilin was saying, I am quite good at healing. There was a slight bashful smile as he added that last bit. You're the most powerful magic wielder of all the Arve, Declan croaked out. That had Aquilin reaching for a cup of water on the nightstand beside the bed. He helped Declan sit up and placed the cup to his lips. Declan took a drink of water, and then he was taking the cup from Aquilin's hand and downing it. Water sloshed over his chin and soaked the front of his shirt. He thrust it out towards the king without thinking. More? Aquilin asked. He nodded, then flushed. He just asked, no, demanded wordlessly, that the king get him a cup of water, but Aquilin didn't seem to mind playing nursemaid to him. Indeed, Aquilin merely poured another cup for him from the pitcher on the nightstand. Declan wanted to do it himself, but his hands were shaking, and he feared he would simply drop the earthenware pitcher on the ground where it would shatter. Aquilin gave him the full cup. He drank this one more slowly and carefully, only letting a dribble of water escape and run down his chin. He wiped his mouth with the back of his right hand and stared at the king. Is this real? Is he actually here? I've been thinking about him for so long. This feels like another dream. Or another nightmare. Not sure which. Why are you here? Declan asked, then quickly amended, with me. Aquilin moved his long hair back from his shoulders. It looked soft, and even in the low light of the fire, he could see different colors of gold, bronze, and platinum in the strands. The firelight shimmered in it. He wondered what it would be like to draw his fingers through it. Would it be as silky as it appeared? Would it smell of roses? He dragged his eyes away. The king's hair should not be so fascinating. We were coming to the dawn when we found you outside. My skills at healing exceed even Raeliff's, so... But if you prefer a mender, we could send for one, Aquilin offered, but there was the faintest hesitation before he said that, as if he didn't want Declan to desire another healer. I don't need a mender, Declan stated flatly. His adopted parents' caution for him to be examined by doctors of any sort reared up inside of him. Magical doctors would be even worse. But wouldn't having the king look at him be the absolute last thing he should want? Well, the king had already examined him, so there was nothing to be done about that. He could, and would, keep anyone else from being involved. Are you certain you just don't want me? Aquilin gave an uncertain smile. When you realized it was I who found you outside, you said... Well, it doesn't matter. Just know that if you wish for another to assist you, I will not be offended. No. Aquiline blinked. No, as to me helping you, or I don't want anyone else. Declan answered, cradling the cup to his chest. I don't need. What did I say to you when you found me? You indicated that you were upset. It was me who found you like that, Aquiline said. Why would I say that? Declan asked, though we already knew. His adopted mother had always said to him, the problem about secrets is that the harder we try to keep them hidden, the more fate seems to want them revealed. Hadn't she said that when his high school had been asking for more medical clearances? Yes. She'd been staring at her laptop at the required list of forms she had to fill out for him to attend school. She'd given a helpless little laugh and covered her mouth as if to stop more from escaping. When he'd asked her what was wrong, she'd said that to him, about secrets being revealed. And wasn't that happening here? At least in part? His sun sensitivity was dangerous for any normal sun elf to know about. But the king? For God's sake, he could not have planned this worse if he had tried. I do not know why you said that, but I would hear whatever reason you have, Aquiline said with a faint smile. Declan turtled forward, realizing he was being foolish. Again, Finley was the one that was good with words. He just needed to be quiet, or he'd just get himself into more trouble. Of course, you don't know. That was stupid. Everything I've said to you is stupid and not worth repeating or thinking about, Declan mumbled. I was ill. Aquiline studied him carefully. I do not believe that you ever say anything stupid or not worth thinking about. Declan's eyes shifted to Aquiline, but then quickly away. He kept his mouth firmly shut. Aquiline didn't rush to fill the silence. The fire crackled in the hearth. There was the faint noise of the bar beneath them. And yet, Aquiline seemed in no hurry to leave him. Finally, the Sun King said, So, are we in agreement that I will be the one taking care of you, Declan? There was no getting out of this without offending the king. He was nobody. He was nothing. But Michael, Finley, and Gemma's lives might be adversely affected if he earned the Sun King's ire too. So he did the only thing he really could. In a tone that was oddly formal yet felt right, Declan answered, I would be honored, King Aquiline. You are recovering swiftly on your own, Aquiline said, but there were faint, worried lines appearing on his forehead. But we do not know what caused you to collapse in the first place. Finley. You spoke to Finley? Declan's eyes immediately searched the room for his best friend, but he already knew that he and Aquiline were alone here. He was keenly aware of that. Yes, he was quite concerned about you. He mentioned you'd gotten ill earlier in the day. Aquiline let that sentence hang. Had Finley said too much? No. Finley would have kept his mouth shut, even with the king. Except Finley had said that if he got sick again, he would go get a mender. Finley didn't believe him that the RVA would look upon him with suspicion if he was sun-sensitive. Sensitive? It was more than that. Where is he, Finley? Declan qualified. He and General Baston are downstairs with my best friend, Lord Raeliff Nares. I assure you that both of them truly wish to be by your side, but I thought quiet was better, Aquiline explained. Michael is here? Declan couldn't help his shock at that. General Michael Baston was many, many good things, but he was also a workaholic. He would never go to the Dawn during the workday, unless... Yes, he met us on our way to Tyrrell, Aquiline said and looked thoughtful. He is an interesting man. He's a great man, Declan stated firmly. Aquiline's blue eyes flickered over his face, but then he nodded. Yes, he thinks the world of you and Finley, too. You saved his daughter, Gemma, from the Leviathan. Declan lowered his head and gripped the empty cup. We just made it through until you came. Though he wasn't looking directly at the Sun King, he sensed Aquiline stiffen. He let his eyes flicker up to the Sun King's face. Aquiline's mouth was flattened into a tight line. Carefully, Aquiline said, I saw you three that day. I don't know if you saw me. You were the sudden dawn. Declan said, his voice thick with emotion. You destroyed the monsters. We all saw you. I saw you. No one could miss you. It's why Helgrim named the inn that. The Sudden Dawn. After you. Ackland had done what he could not. Destroy every single one of those foul beasts that had killed his adopted mother and father. They came for you. His mother's whispered words went through his head. She hadn't meant the Sun Elves. She'd meant the Leviathan. No, they couldn't have come for me. I'm nobody. I'm nothing. Why would they come for me? His mind went very still, and then he thought, please let them not have come for me. I am so sorry that I did not arrive sooner. Ackland's voice was brittle, as if it might shatter. I am sure that is cold comfort for you and yours, considering how much everyone lost in Tyrael. Declan frowned, confused at the guilt in Ackland's tone. You came. You didn't have to. You could have let the Leviathan wipe us out. We were nothing to you back then, not even part of the Empire. Ackland's hands bunched in his lap. He had such elegant hands. Declan knew that he wielded swords, bows, and magic with those hands. He wondered if the king's palms were rough with calluses, or were they soft like silk. He wrenched his eyes away from those hands. You live under the sun. Therefore, you are my concern, Ackland finally said. Not me, Declan thought. The sun hurts me. You did all you could. You conquered the Leviathan. They retreated, Declan said, feeling the absurd need to convince the Sun King that he had done enough for humanity. But not I fear, Ackland murmured. Declan froze. That's the nonsense word I yelled after Mom. Mom died. But it's not a Katir word. What? It's a Kindrith word. It means to the end and so much more. So very much more. Ackland gave him a shadow of a smile, having intuited what he was thinking. Of course you would not know it. Few do, even among the Arave. It is not encouraged to know much about the Kindrith. It's a Kindrith word, Declan thought. Why do I know a Kindrith word? He thought of Volray. Was that just a dream? Volray had had white hair and red eyes, just like Finley had told him of the Night Elves. And Night Elves are harmed by the sun. No, it was just a dream. I can't be. Despite his mind spinning, he found himself saying, Why? They're your great enemy, are they not? You should know everything about them. Another soft, sad smile. The Kindrith left long ago for the endless depths of the Underdark. We have not seen even one of their kind for... Here, Ackland's eyes left him, and he was staring into the distance. For a very long time. And for some reason, Declan felt the Sun King was lying about that. But why would he? Likely so I don't freak out and start telling everyone that the Kindrith have been sighted. From how Finley explained it, the Kindrith are the monsters under the bed, worse than the Leviathan, worse than anything. His mind flashed back to the dream he'd had. Volray Voltoris, Blood Knight to Lady Ashrin Zinzadoral, and Master of the Venom Thorn. There were such specific names, hardly ones he would just make up. Maybe Finley had told him something about these people in his research on Vex. He must have. But even so, what was going on with him? First, the sun sensitivity, and now this dream that didn't feel like a dream at all. He was drawing attention to himself. He was sticking out. He must not do that, especially in front of the king. Who had told him to keep low? His adopted parents, himself? Why was he so very certain that he should keep himself hidden at all costs? Except I'm not hidden now. I'm in front of the most powerful person in all of the Empire. He saved me from the sun. He'll have questions. I have to get out of here before I give too much away. Too much of what? His voice was low and rushed as he said, King Aquilin, I'm the one who should be sorry. I've been behaving probably not how I should with you, and the knife. Aquilin interrupted his apology, an attempt to slip out of the bed. In fact, the RV placed a firm hand on his chest and kept him right where he was. The knife, the damn knife, Declan thought. He swallowed hard and said, I'm so very sorry about that. Was it the same one you had the day the Leviathan came? The one you had in your hand when I saw you with the other two? Gemma and Finley, right? Aquilin asked. His expression was quite intent, quite earnest, but not like a man who had a knife pulled on him. It was something altogether different. Declan swallowed again. His throat was so dry, it felt like the sides of it were sticking together. Was the knife back on his arm as a tattoo, or was it still under the bed? Which should he wish for? Aquilin's expression grew gentle as he asked, Have you kept it with you since the attack? To feel safe? Oh, Declan had kept it with him all right. He had it literally tattooed on his skin. And what human could do that? He thrust that thought aside. Finley thought humans could do magic. Maybe he truly was proof of that. Or maybe it was something to do with his exposure to the Leviathan that had changed him and the knife, or maybe... Declan got out. I'm so sorry I attacked you. I did not mean... I would never harm you. I was dreaming, and... Declan, I'm not angry or concerned about that, Aquilin assured him, his right hand, which was still touching the center of Declan's chest, pressed tighter against him. Aquilin lowered his head. Tyrael was the first place to be attacked. You three were the only ones who survived. I want to make sure that you, of all people, feel safe now. There is no safety. Anyone who says otherwise is lying to get you to drop your guard so that they can strike. Volray's voice rose up in Declan's mind. I feel safe, Declan lied. Aquilin lifted his eyes to study Declan's face. He did not believe Declan. But he did not say so. But there was a flash of disappointment or sadness, Declan couldn't tell which, that passed over his hauntingly beautiful face. I'll remember every moment of this time with him. I will have to. I'm certain it will never come again. I should hope it does not. I need to get downstairs. Lily can't handle the dawn on her own, Declan said as he resolutely pushed the covers off of him. Declan, we have not determined what is wrong. Nothing is. I haven't eaten today and didn't get much sleep. He lied again, not meeting Aquilin's eyes, and the honey brew was cursed by fairy magic, so... He shrugged. Fairy magic? Ah, that explains the smell. Aquilin let out a delighted laugh that skated down Declan's spine. So that's what you were doing with the barrel outside. He nodded as he slid around Aquilin's seated form on the edge of the bed and got onto his feet. He held his breath as he stood up, fearful that he would collapse again and cause the king to investigate his illness yet more. But his legs were firm. He saw his boots were nicely set by the foot of the bed. Had Aquilin taken off his boots and put them there? It was such a kind gesture, and so beneath the king, that Declan couldn't quite picture it. Or rather, he could picture it, and it made him feel strangely warm inside. He thrust that thought away as he stuffed his feet in his boots. I truly think you should rest, Declan, Aquilin advised, but he didn't order Declan to stay, so Declan supposed he could ignore it. What were the rules of dealing with a king? His king, he supposed. It was so strange. Aquilin did not act like some kind of god-high emperor or anything. Instead, he was quite down to earth. Well, for a glorious Arve, anyway. He actually made the non-royal Arve look snotty in comparison. It was strange. Declan was certain he would think about this for endless hours, days, months, years, to parse it all out, even though he was trying to get out of the man's presence now as quickly as possible. Aquilin was still sitting on the edge of the bed, watching him, and Declan flushed when he realized he was under the king's regard. Ackland's expression was so odd. It was as if he wanted to ask Declan something quite desperately, but could not or would not. Yet what kind of question would a king not ask his subject? And what could Declan answer that would mean so much to his king? "You should join your friend downstairs, King Aquilin," Declan advised, wondering if it was okay to advise a king of anything. "If you're staying, we have wonderful wine and food. I don't know if that would interest you, but I will make sure you're taken care of." Aquilin smiled. "I wish to be taking care of you, Declan, but I can see that you will not let me. At least not today." Declan blinked. That last part seemed to indicate the king intended to try and take care of him another day. But no. Once Aquilin left the Dawn, Declan would never see him again. Not so close. Not so personal. Not to notice the way the firelight reflected in his hair, or the way his full lips pursed just so, or how he moved with such grace and economy. Aquilin rose. "Yes, I will go down with you, if only to keep an eye on you. And if you feel ill in the least, I am fine," Declan assured him, and, like with the time that afternoon, he seemed recovered. "But if I went out in the sun again, I think I would get sicker far faster. Maybe not recover for some time," he thought. "Good," Aquilin said. "But if you do, I will sit down and rest," Declan stated. "Excellent. Now do you wish to get your knife?" Aquilin tilted his head towards the bed. Declan's mouth dried of all saliva. Was the knife still under the bed? Or was it a tattoo on his arm? Regardless, he had to get it or pretend to. Aquilin would find it awfully strange if he didn't. "I need to show him it when I get out from under the bed." Yeah, Actually, I should get it for you," Aquilin said, frowning slightly. "You should not be crawling around." No, I'll get it." Declan immediately dropped to his hands and knees before oiling underneath the bed. There was no knife under there. It was back on his arm. How was he going to explain this? "Do you see it?" Aquilin asked. It's just... Wait a minute. I can use magic to... No, I have it," Declan lied. He wrenched the sleeve of his hoodie up to expose the tattoo. For the first time in his life, he willed the damn thing to appear in his hand. Nothing happened. "Oh, come on! Appear, goddamn you!" "Declan?" Aquilin said, and he was staring into the king's blue eyes again. They were both under the bed. Both of them were lying on the ground on their bellies, staring at one another across the length of the mattress. A dust bunny drifted between them. Both of them tracked its progress as it passed from left to right, and the knife. It was in his right hand. The dust bunny passed it by. "Ah, I see you found it," Aquilin said with an almost rueful smile, as if he was regretful that they couldn't spend more time rooting underneath the bed looking for the knife. I did. Thank God. It was just far under, here." Declan gestured with the knife around them before realizing that he was once more using a knife around the king. He firmly set it flat against the ground. "But we should get up." "Yes, indeed." Declan waited for Aquilin to move first, and seemingly Aquilin was waiting for Declan to move first. The laughter that bubbled out of the king's mouth soon had Declan smiling as well. "I think neither of us really want to go back to our duties." Aquilin sighed and rested his chin on his hands. "What duties await you downstairs?" Declan asked, if you can say. Those blue eyes met his. A rather rueful smile crossed the king's lips, but then he gave a brief nod. I think I can tell you. Perhaps I can tell you, most of all." "Me?" Declan thought. "Why me? I'm nothing." "I need to understand how things truly are here with all of humanity," Aquilin explained. "Perhaps you could help me with that?" Declan wanted to say yes. Nearly every part of him was screaming at himself to say yes. He had never felt so comfortable with anyone other than Finley. But this was a different sort of comfort. It made him feel warm in ways he couldn't fully explain. But unlike Finley, who accepted everything he did as miraculous and special, he could all too well imagine Aqualin's teasing, welcoming expression dying when he figured out that Declan was. He couldn't be in the light. He couldn't stand in the Sun King's presence and not be discovered, whatever that meant. They came for you. His mother's anguished words echoed in his ears. I would like to, but... Here Declan licked his lips, hesitated, but then he forced himself to say the next words to stop the possibility of being more in the king's presence. But I'm not like other people. Declan quickly scooted out from underneath the bed and headed towards the bedroom door. It was better to end this now. This would be the last time he would be alone like this with the Sun King. And though his heart ached, he knew it was for the best.
Could you all imagine that dust bunny traveling underneath the bed between Declan and Aquilin, the lone tumbleweed of the inn? Figuring out what to put on the page and what to leave to people's imagination is still something I struggle with. I saw this, dust bunny, and I was like, this is something that would set the scene, but it's not over describing. Like, you don't need to know how the brocade on a couch felt against a character's bare thigh, unless that adds to the chapter, and sometimes it does. But also, let's be honest, we get visions in our heads as we read books about what the characters and the worlds look like. That's something that you don't want broken. But what I've actually done, I have Mithia or Conial, so our house artist, draw the characters for me first before I start writing. I give her all the information about them and some inspirational images, and then Mithia goes to town. But their art helps me remember little quirks about the characters and make them come alive. And also, it stops me from having a different vision in my head than what Mithia will draw later. So that actually helps me. And so I always share these character sketches with the Wraith Rain members before the story starts going. So you have in your heads a vision of sort of like what I see. But for those of you who are just listening and haven't seen those character sheets for Finley, Declan, Aquilin, and Rayleigh, check out the link to them down below. Does that match what you had in your head? Do you actually feel like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I saw? Or like, wait a minute, this isn't right. And do you like to have artwork for your favorite stories, or do you just like to imagine it yourself? Obviously, I'm an artwork kind of gal, but I understand why people want their own versions of the characters. So let me know in the comments, did the character sheets and the characters look like what you've visioned? Was it disappointing? Anyway, please do remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much.